Howdy y'all, this is Taylor Ursula of That's So Pisces, and it's time to break down this maybe tense, maybe fearful, little bit of scarcity vibes, Scorpio first quarter moon. Okay, so first and foremost, this is a first quarter moon in Scorpio taking place at 20 degrees, the morning of Monday, August 12th here on the West Coast. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the scarcity vibes. All right, so we know, maybe most of us know already, that the moon in Scorpio is technically in its sign of fall. So the moon is exalted in Taurus. Taurus is a sign about the self and one's own resources. So the moon in Taurus is able, or feels able, without perhaps other influences, squares, tough aspects interrupting. On its own, the moon in Taurus feels secure in grounding into its own emotions and providing its own resources to those emotions. When we see the moon move through Scorpio, the moon is moving through a sign that is no longer about itself. Scorpio is a very emotional sign. It's a water sign, like Cancer, the sign that the moon rules. But in Scorpio, there are so many secrets, so many subcurrents, so many undertones, so much implied that isn't explicitly said or expressed. The moon here feels overwhelmed at times. It recognizes that it is not only taking care of itself, it is kind of bound to the emotions and the motivations of those around it. And the moon can feel unsettled here. The moon might feel a sense of fear or apprehension about getting its needs met. And it might know, whether consciously or not, that it needs to kind of take care of someone else, nurture someone else, in order to receive the nurturance that it craves. So, as a first quarter moon, we might sense some of these scarcity attitudes or these emotional overwhelm pieces rising to the surface. A quarter moon always brings tension, right? So the sun is squaring the moon. Is my sense of self and who I'm becoming in the course of this lunation cycle aligned with how I feel? And the sun in Leo is at home. The sun in Leo says, I am, okay? And I was born to be myself and to take pride and ownership in that sense of self. And the moon in Scorpio argues, and yet, is that enough? Is it enough to be me and to trust that I can get what I need? And trust can be a very loaded word in the realm of Scorpio. Something ramping this up is the fact that this is a moon being ruled by Mars, who is currently in Gemini, and can see the sun in Leo and cannot see the moon it's ruling in Scorpio. So what we are moving toward is more aligned with, or let me say, what we are motivated by in Mars is more aligned with who we see ourselves to be in Leo, and is not really aware of what fears might be surfacing in Scorpio. Add to this the layer that is Mars making its conjunction to Jupiter in 2 days. So this is some really big pushing energy. Jupiter wants things to be bigger. Jupiter is in detriment here in Gemini. Jupiter might have a lot of ideas about what it wants, and it might be taking on so much that it's ramping up our sense of anxiety. Mars coming to meet this Jupiter might feel like, I have to act on all of these things. I need all of these options to be real. I want to feel like I can make all of these options happen at whatever cost. All of that energy, especially since we're building up to this conjunction, is feeding that Scorpio moon. Again, in a way that we are not really aware of, because Gemini and Scorpio don't see each other. They have nothing in common. Gemini is much more light, airy, flexible. Scorpio is rigid. Scorpio clings when it feels threatened. So we've got some disconnected energies here. A trine to Saturn retrograde at 17 degrees of Pisces helps maybe get clear on and anchor into what might be coming up for us here. However, in opposition to Uranus after squaring the Sun, further challenges us, shakes us up a bit emotionally. Maybe this is healthy. Maybe it's helping to break us out of some of those fears. Maybe it's really triggering, and maybe it's causing us to double down into some of this scarcity mindset. On Tuesday, Mars Day, we see the moon enter into a trine with Neptune, currently retrograde in Pisces at 29 degrees. This can really pull us into a place of fantasizing or getting lost in some of our imagination, really continuing to confound our sense of what is real and what is not real, what might feel very real based on what ideas we have about getting our needs met and how that's currently unfolding. It can bring us into a place of perhaps forgiveness, compassion, and we might be able to tune into where within us we can kind of zoom out and trust in something bigger than us. There's that word again, trust. Again, Neptune is really nebulous, and it can be pulling us into a sense of higher faith, but it could also be ramping up a bigger sense of not understanding what's real. Okay, this is a really interesting energy to be building us up to next week's full moon, which, if you watched the Leo season video, you may recall is going to be really electric. There's a lot of Uranian energy built into that full moon, and so this opposition from the moon in Scorpio at the first quarter to that Uranus might preface what's going to ultimately culminate in that full moon. So let's do a recap of what we started with at the Leo new moon, and let's get a sense of what is ramping up at this time. Stay tuned. Okay, here is our poll from the Leo new moon. If you missed this video, go ahead and pause here, head back to this link, check it out, and meet us here, and we will continue this story. Okay, let's get started. All right, so at this first quarter moon, we are looking at energy that is accumulating now, as well as doubts and complications that arise with this energy. Gifts that we can access through this energy as it accumulates, and lessons to make sense of as we approach the full moon. Okay, and we will look at the bottom of the deck to see what's beneath this energy that's accumulating now. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, this is fun. We had some moving away from things at the Leo new moon, right? We started off with that Eight of Cups, which saw us maybe tying up some loose ends or finally acting on something that had been calling to us, starting at the Leo Venus retrograde last year. Okay, so we were kind of in a place of endings and really trying to focus on being present in the moment, finding hope where we could in the present. Okay, so I kind of love this Page of Wands energy for us then. We've got this power to create something new, not necessarily acting on it just yet, but just recognizing where we possess that energy currently. Where are we able to tap into like new ideas? All right, where are we able to recognize agency? Okay, and what are these new powers of creation like asking of us at this time? What's in that? Let's see what else we've got here that might tell us a little bit about that. Okay, energy that is accumulating now. Everyone's upright today. That's kind of nice. Okay, we are ready to get to work on something. We are ready to take action on something we want, all right? Last week at the Leo new moon, we talked about focusing on what we could choose now in the present, right? Instead of getting really kind of far ahead of ourselves and worrying about what was going to come down the road, really focusing on what we could choose in the present moment. So I'm hoping that this has led us to identify some places where we are able to take action. Again, maybe we're waiting for more information on some things, right? We see Mars, I didn't even talk about this part. We see Mars not only making a conjunction to Jupiter this week, but also running into the walls of Saturn the day after. That's also being embedded into this moon. Those limitations that we face at this time are also ramping up some of that insecurity or that feeling of lack or scarcity in that moon. What I can't access now is making me feel like I'll never be able to access it, for example. Okay, so energy accumulating now is that we are able to focus on what we can build in the present moment, and we're getting to work. We're putting in the effort. We're proving something. This might be for us. This might be for someone else. Let's see what else is here. But energy accumulating now. Doubts and complications that arise with this energy. Okay, where is this going to go? Where could this possibly take me? Is this enough? Is this effort going to be enough to put me down the path I desire? Yeah, that's absolutely like a tangible fear. And again, certainly builds off of or contributes to that narrative of the Four of Cups reverse from last week, in that sense of, okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's focus on the here and now. Okay, let's not get too far. I mean, the 3 is not that far into the suit, but it's still something that we're looking ahead toward, and maybe we are better staying in the moment. Gifts that we can access through this energy. Okay. Lots of page vibes. I love that. It really, again, keeps us in the present. You know, we have the Knight of Pentacles, which is absolutely taking action on something. And it's interesting to kind of go back a step and think about, okay, I have the energy to put into something. What do I want that to look like? Perhaps the gifts we can access are opportunities that are starting to surface, leaves that are starting to unfurl, things that have been in the ether space that are starting to become tangible and accessible. So we can focus on, again, like energy we have in the moment to put towards something, and what around us might be an opportunity for us to begin acting on. Again, very much kind of remaining in the present, trying our best to shift out of fear of where it's going to lead us. Oh, that is an earthquake. Wow. Holy moly. Okay. We're just gonna keep that in here because holy moly. Mars conjunct Jupiter vibes? Okay. Wow. Wow. Real time, real stuff. Okay. Lessons to make sense of as we approach this full moon. Ooh. That's lovely. That's a very like fresh energy, right? And we've got wands and pentacles here. That's it. Lessons to make sense of as I approach the full moon. Focusing on what is new. focusing on what is growing, focusing on what is possible, focusing on potential. Again, shifting out of where it's going to take us, staying present in the moment. I think that's really important for us as we ramp up to a full moon that is T-squaring Uranus. And Mercury is also in that fold because Mercury will have just made its conjunction to the sun the day before. So really remaining in the present moment. I know that's hard, but we have Mercury retrograde currently, right? And Mercury is ruling all of these other planets that we're talking about. Mercury is retrograde, ruling Mars, ruling Jupiter, ruling Venus. So we have to stay focused in the present. This might even be turning back toward things that were not possible before that could now be possible, and starting to put in energy toward that. So again, very much not looking into the future just yet. Really focusing on the present and even maybe a little bit of the past, and playing catch up in terms of what opportunities are becoming present and unfolding now that maybe have been on the back burner or that I've been hoping to open up and the timing hasn't been right. Putting in that effort and seeing maybe what it activates within us about potential in both of these like creative, passionate realms as well as tangible, active realms. Okay, can't believe we had an earthquake in the middle of this poll. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, please like this video. Please share with someone who might need a reminder to remain in the present, as there is a lot of uncertainty about what's going to come down the line. And subscribe so we can talk more about that full moon next week. I'll see you then.